Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Time is pretty much the single most valuable thing we have as humans. But what happens when we willingly hand our time over to algorithms, all for the promise of, perfect productivity? Today we're unpacking a really massive yet kind of invisible shift that's happening right under our noses. We are literally trading our spontaneity for AI-driven optimization. And the consequences, whether it's for our workplaces, our justice systems, or even just our own minds, are absolutely profound. Let's dive in.
Just imagine, for a second, a near future where artificial intelligence is scheduling every single second of your day for maximum efficiency. I mean, sure, society might run like a well-oiled machine, but what's the actual cost to us? We risk becoming totally trapped in perfectly optimized routines, with our personal choices completely stripped away. So the big question we need to keep in the back of our minds as we go through this explainer today is this: if AI is controlling your time, are you truly living your own life?
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the illusion of optimization, trading freedom for safety.
So how exactly does AI manage us on a day-to-day basis? Well, our sources highlight 5 core features. First up is prolific data collection. We're talking total, constant surveillance. Then, the system uses real-time responsiveness and automated decision-making to essentially dictate our tasks. Add to that the fact that human performance is handed over to rigid, unfeeling rating systems. But honestly, the most insidious feature here might be algorithmic nudges. The AI learns from your personalized data and uses subtle little penalties to quietly steer your behavior in real time. It's not a human boss yelling at you from down the hall. It's an app quietly pulling the strings in your pocket.
700. That's a pretty big number, right? See, we often fall for the illusion that AI predictions are just flawless. But philosopher Carissa Velas points out a perfect example of this trap. The payments company Klarna publicly fired 700 people, assuming, fairly confidently I might add, that AI was advanced enough to replace them. The reality? Yeah, about a year later, they were hiring 700 people right back. We lean on AI because it gives us this illusion of safety and certainty, but the future is rarely as neat and predictable as the algorithms want us to believe.
Moving on to Section 2, inside the Silicon Panopticon, where we look at near-total visibility.
You might actually remember the concept of the traditional panopticon from history or sociology class. It was a prison design where inmates behaved simply because they might be watched at any moment. Well, the Silicon Panopticon is a whole different beast. Here, power isn't about the possibility of being watched. It's exercised through the absolute certainty of data. It's a digital architecture of near-total visibility. An employee's every sub-second action, from how fast you type to the exact tone of your internal chat messages, is tracked. They even use metrics like time off task to monitor the precise second a worker stops to, take a breath. It is incredibly granular, it's constant, and it is completely blind to actual human context.
And there is a massive psychological cost to living under this kind of system. It generally moves in 3 distinct stages. Stage 1 is surveillance. That invisible digital eye makes the worker feel constantly judged by this opaque AI box. Then comes Stage 2, psychological erosion. The safe space you need to actually take risks or think outside the box, completely destroyed because you are terrified of making a mistake on the record. And finally, Stage 3 is behavioral distortion. To survive, workers literally stop doing their actual jobs and just start gaming the algorithm. The machine looks perfectly optimized on a manager's dashboard, but the actual human team is completely broken.
This total surveillance creates what researchers call defensive compliance and work masking. Knowing they are under the unblinking gaze of the machine, workers start engaging in performative productivity. They jiggle their mice to stay active on Slack, they overly sanitize their chat logs, and they prioritize surviving the metrics over doing authentic, meaningful work. When we treat human beings like highly predictable, programmable data points, we lose the exact spontaneity and freedom that drives real innovation in the first place.
Let's look at Section 3, the rise of digital Taylorism and task fragmentation.
Okay, so traditional Taylorism, the old factory model where managers stood around with stopwatches to maximize every physical movement, digital Taylorism is its modern, honestly terrifying upgrade. Traditional management was limited by physical space. You had to be in the factory. But digital Taylorism uses remote algorithms for continuous 24/7 monitoring. And it doesn't just manage your physical body anymore. It manages your cognitive and emotional energy, deeply embedding control into the very platforms we rely on every single day.
This is a pretty massive shift in how organizations think. Under the old factory model, scientific management, the main goal was just efficiency. But under the new platform model of algorithmic management, the goal is immediacy. The AI essentially co-ops users and demands standardized actions right now, in real time. And accountability, that gets totally twisted because your manager's no longer a human being you can reason with. It's an opaque, automated black box.
But listen, we really can't talk about all this shiny AI efficiency without talking about the hidden human cost behind it. Behind the illusion of autonomous, magical machine intelligence is a vast, largely invisible human workforce. We're talking about data labelers, primarily in the Global South, in places like Kenya and the Philippines, who work in what are effectively digital sweatshops just to train these models. Their time is fractured into thousands of endless microtasks, and they are paid as little as $1.50 an hour. This whole model extracts incredibly cheap, precarious labor to build massive wealth somewhere else, making the actual human contribution entirely invisible.
That brings us to Section 4, Trapped by AI Predictions and the concept of automated guilt. So, what happens when state systems dump mountains of historical data into algorithms to assign risk scores to individual people? Well, the machine starts taking preemptive action against them. As one of our sources powerfully points out, when AI acts as judge and jury, we are effectively swapping out the bedrock democratic presumption of innocence for an automated assumption of guilt. And because these black boxes are trained on deeply flawed, biased historical data, they disproportionately target marginalized communities. And the worst part? There is no transparent way for a citizen to challenge the machine's logic.
Carissa Veliz actually calls this dynamic the perfect crime. And why is that? Well, because predicting human behavior actually changes the future. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about it. If an algorithm predicts someone won't be a good employee, that person never gets the job. And because they never get the job, we never generate the data to prove the algorithm wrong in the first place. The prophecies literally cover their own tracks, leaving society with this totally false sense that the AI is perfectly accurate. It's wild when you really think about it.
Next up is Section 5, the temporal disconnect. We're looking at human time versus AI time.
Humans and AI experience time in completely different universes. Human time is episodic, right? Our sense of now is pretty brief. We naturally need sleep, we need to eat, we need to take a break and step away from a problem. AI time, on the other hand, is continuous. An autonomous AI agent operates persistently with near-zero latency. It literally never stops, and it never takes a breath to deliberate or second-guess itself. And this creates severe strategic risks. Because if an AI makes a minor error, that error compounds endlessly. It can execute millions of poor decisions at lightning speed without any of that natural human friction to slow it down.
Because these AI agents act as continuous, non-stop actors within a company, we desperately need strong strategic governance. You can't just deploy an AI, give it the keys, and walk away. Organizations have to implement complex control systems, execution gates, and constant, rigorous monitoring. Liability here isn't just about what the AI does. It's about whether we've built an architecture strong enough to rein in a machine that is making choices millions of times faster than we ever could.
And finally, Section 6, Reclaiming Your Own Time and Preserving Our Autonomy.
So, we return to the question we started this whole explainer with. We know algorithms are being built to extract maximum efficiency out of our workdays, our physical movements, and even our cognitive energy. But total, perfect optimization is the enemy of spontaneity, creativity, and ultimate human freedom. If you are constantly work-masking just to please a silicon panopticon, and your future potential is being walled off by self-fulfilling AI prophecies, whose life are you actually living? It's definitely a provocative thought to end on, but it's an absolutely essential one to carry with you as you navigate your own digital routines today. Thanks so much for watching